Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Image Comics, we're going to be talking about Kaya, issue number 5. It is written, art, and designed by Wes Craig. We got colors by Jason Wordie, and then colors by AW's Tom Napolitano, and of course, cover by Wes Craig. We are at the end of the arc, right? 5 issues in, and Kaya, and what a journey. One of my favorite books on the shelves right now. I get excited every time it comes out, and for good reason. It is great. The art, the story, the progression, everything. The colors, letters. Before I get started, get you caught up and get onto this review, please like, comment, subscribe down below, or hit the bell, all that good stuff. It's all free. It doesn't cost you anything, I promise. It's just interaction between you and me. So Kaya, right? Kaya with the magical arm. Her and Jin are on this journey. They're supposed to be headed to Monk Island, where it's supposed to be safe. This is where her uncle set her on. They were joined by the Lizard Riders, some of her friends, Seth. We met some other characters. I think his name is Zohan, and basically they were tasked to capture this giant beast, the Magron. At this point, they have done so. At the last issue, Kaya kind of got banged up, and one of the lizard, elders had to kind of use some potions to kind of bring her back. Jin at that time kind of used, thinks he used some magic. The book lets us think he used some magic. We don't know yet. But that's where we're starting off this book. Basically, they have made it to the I can't remember. It's like Magnical Bay or something like that, where they were supposed to go to drop off the massive creature that they killed, shown here. They're basically selling it. After that, Kaya's kind of come to, and she is thanking, the elder that fixed her, basically asking about what's going to happen with Zohan, because at the end of the whole event, he ended up getting one of his friends killed. He basically looked like a chump. He was all scared. So we end up meeting the Fish King, and this is the dude Seth, and Seth is supposed to marry this Fish Queen right here. It was set up by his mother, which is right here. They are finally getting introduced and getting to meet each other, that kind of thing. We do get this one character that runs in, and he is the brother to the princess, and he's a big fan right here of our dude Seth after he killed the Magron. The king kind of states that they could have killed the Magron all along, but the brother is like, nah, man, it took skill and effort, and y'all did an amazing thing. While all this is going on, and the Seth is actually finding out that he's getting married that night, that they've already set up the ceremony and everything, Kaya is kind of watching off in the distance, and she's kind of seeing her best friend slash could have been boyfriend getting married, kind of thing. We do have this moment where Jin is kind of remembering that moment where Seth kind of got him to lie to Kaya, and he never really lied. He just didn't tell her the truth. Well, he just didn't tell her, kind of thing. This is where the whole Zohan thing kicks off, because they're divvying up the money. Kaya gets her money. But basically Zohan kind of forfeits his profit because his friend died and how he acted in the coward. Zohan actually runs at the money in a weird fashion and states that he doesn't want it, grabs the elder that brought back Kaya, and heads off to the beach or whatever. Says he has something to discuss with the elder. We jet over to Jin and Kaya, and they're basically discussing their winnings, saying they can finally get their ride and they can head out to Monk Island and complete their task, kind of thing. They're debating on what to spend the money with, in the first place. We jump over back to the beach with Zohan and the elder, and we find out that Zohan is ashamed that he's a coward, that he never was before this event. Kind of has something to do with Kaya. But before all this, he was not so much a coward, and he was rich, and he was destined to be king. With all this happening, and now maybe it's not going to go that way. And the lizard tribe, they have this thing where they can shed skin and become a new person, so to speak. And he chooses to become his friend Muska, the friend that he got killed. He ends up taking his place, to shed the dishonor and to carry on Muska's good name, that kind of thing. Everything that he states, actually, he's stating for the right reasons. But basically the elder is like, hey, if you do this, you would forfeit your right to be king and stuff like this. He eventually agrees to do so and take on the basically poor farmer that was Muska's status, and to take care of Muska's family, that kind of thing. The elder does mention that he needs to induce the new skin. And they show us how it's done. They pour some, it's not boiling or whatever, but it's just some liquid, and as soon as he does, basically Zohan is screaming for his life, kind of thing, but enduring. Jin and Kaya witness this, and Kaya kind of gives us this brief background on the reskinning of the lizard people, that she's seen it before, kind of thing, but the process and the way they're doing it in this fashion is brand new for her. She still deems Zohan, even though he's choosing to pick a new skin and become a new person, kind of thing, she still deems him a coward, and just because he picks a new name or whatever and sheds some skin, it's not going to change who he is. That's kind of her opinion. She states to Jin. We do see that Zohan does complete the whole ceremony, and he does shed new skin, and claims to be this guy Moskar from now on, and Zohan is basically dead. There is this moment right before Kaya and Jin are about to leave. It's during the day. They're kind of spending some of that money, and we find out Kaya actually bought some parchment, because all their family lore got lost in the first issue. So it's something that Jin wanted. It was something that he was trying to keep safe. She basically tells him that he's going to have to buy a pen, to scribe on it, but he is extremely happy. We get to that night in the ceremony, and right off the bat they show the bay, and then right under that they show some ominous figures in the water, dum dum dum. But we don't get there for a while. They go through the whole ceremony and stuff, and everything is presented to be, like a great wedding ceremony. During the wedding ceremony, Jin is kind of contemplating that lie that he had with Seth and everything, and for some odd reason decides to tell Kaya about it during the wedding. Eventually, after Kaya telling him to stop, and she is kind of hearing all this, eventually, as you can see, her, stages of pissed off, but eventually she does get so mad where she screams at Jin to shut up, and she does so in such a fashion that it, stops the whole wedding and everything, where they feel disgraced. Eventually, after the wedding is all said and done, and the two have been married, we see that Zohan in his new skin, or now Muska in his new skin, actually gets a kind of romantic interest from maybe a princess or something like that, but he is asked to dance, which he takes the opportunity to do so. When this happens, the new queen to Seth that actually notices that Seth is kind of tapping his fingers on the table kind of stuff, and she asks if he would like to go dance. He does say that he wants to go dance, and she immediately turns it, oh no, I can't do that, queens don't do that. And he's like, there's this whole conversation that spans out where Seth basically finds out his status quo in this marriage, and it's basically that the king promised her that Seth would be this good, kind, obedient husband. Basically whatever she says, and that's how it's gonna roll. Right after hearing this, we see that Seth, he's not down for this, and he ends up throwing off those kind of blue robes that he has on, and he ends up taking after Kaya and Jin. Kaya and Jin are outside, and where the wedding was, and they're still kind of discussing this conversation that Jin brought up during the wedding about the whole, like, that he hid the fact that that he knew Seth was gonna get married. Um, it gets to the point where Seth he kind of brings up the whole, like, that he saved Kaya thing, where he believes he saved Kaya, and she finally blows a gasket and is like, look, you did not save me with magic. This is what magic looks like. Everybody else that has used magic around us has just been lying, using smoke and mirrors. So far, even though you're supposed to be this dragon and you have this destiny that's tied to your name, there has been no sign or, that you're in any form magic. He ends up taking off, like calling her a liar. At the same moment, this is where Seth catches up and he grabs Kaya and she's like, look, I don't have time for this. Seth is like, oh, I love you, I can't do this, I made a mistake. At the same time, Jen's running off. He ends up tripping, falling on the beach. At this moment, Kaya and she finally ends up catching up to Jin. Kind of as soon as she does, there's a brief conversation, and we get the book's cliffhanger, because right after that, during this little brief conversation where Kaya is trying to apologize, and basically she's like, look, you might be the savior, you might be this dragon, you might have some magic, but right now you're 8. We got to get to Monk Island. Stop talking about this shit. Let's go. But as soon as that happens, Jen kind of turns around and is like, Kaya, look out. Kaya is hit by something with a crack, and we see that Jin is all of a sudden kidnapped. It's those ominous figures that were in the water. They don't look like a certain type. We do get the big guy on the cover. I'm imagining he's the one that smacked Kaya. After that, we do see these fiends running off towards this Margot Bay, I think that's what it was called, but they start setting, parts of the village on fire. After that, the fiends go back into the water, claiming they have the Golden One, back to the Poison Lands, and that's where this issue leaves off, with kind of Kaya knocked out in the water right there. We do get a splash page of what the Poison Lands look like. Sounds interesting to me. We do get this very last page before the book cuts off, and it's from Wes Craig, and he's basically like, hey, this is the end of the arc, glad you've been reading so far, hey, here's what's in store. The next issue is kind of a one-shot, but it's going to be explaining Kaya's magical arm. Supposedly, it's not going to be in the trade, and it's supposed to be kept secret, so the only people that know that were people that bought the single issues, supposedly. But that's where this issue leaves off, basically. Still fantastic, still an amazing journey. I can't wait to see what the Poison Lands entail. The bad guys look all crazy. There has been mention of the Golden One before in the book, when they talk about Jin. Of course, that whole prophecy is tied to him. But that's where the end of this arc leaves us off. Supposedly the next issue is all about Kaya and her uncle, and kind of before this whole journey started. So we'll have to wait until April for the 7th issue, and that's where the next arc is going to start off. I already do have the 6th issue. I will be reviewing that right after this, so I can get out of the way because I am behind. But this is the review. That's what I got for you. And those are my thoughts. I'm loving the art, the story, everything. This family-friendly journey that we got going, it is amazing. Honestly, I still have this belief that it's not going to stay family-friendly forever, but for the first arc, it sure heck was. But that's what I got for you guys. It's been a great journey so far. I've been enjoying it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you been liking it? Did you pick it up, dropped it for some reason? Have you been loving it just like me and you can't wait to read the next issue kind of thing? Let me know, guys. Bye!